James Garner finally breaks silence on Jack Elam. James Garner was born James Scott Bumgar on April 7, 1928 in Norman, Oklahoma. Garner's early life was really tough, but he was strong. He was the youngest of 3 boys born to Weldon and Mildred Bumgar. When James was just 5 years old, his mother died, leaving him very sad and hurt inside. His father married someone new, and James had a really hard time with his stepmother, who he later said was mean to him. The hard times at home, plus having very little money during the Great Depression, meant James had to grow up fast. He ended up leaving high school early, moving from job to job, including working as a model and pumping gas before luck brought him to Hollywood. Garner's way into acting was pretty unusual. After working on ships in the Merchant Marines and then fighting as a soldier during the Korean War, when he got hurt twice and got 2 Purple Hearts for his bravery, Garner came back home looking for what to do next. He kind of stumbled into acting by accident, pushed to try it by a friend and fellow actor Paul Gregory. With his tall, strong build and natural charm, he soon found work in commercials and small roles, and ended up getting a contract with Warner Brothers. Garner's big break came in 1957 when he got cast as Brett Maverick in the hit television series Maverick. His performance as the charming, card-playing, reluctant hero made him different from other TV cowboys of that time. Unlike the serious and tough Western characters, Brett Maverick was funny, friendly, and quick with a joke, a personality that fit perfectly with Garner's natural funny timing and regular guy appeal. The show was a huge hit right away and made James Garner a household name. His special mix of humor, showing feelings, and quiet strength became what he was known for. He didn't play superheroes or super tough guys. Instead, he played characters people could relate to who often used their smarts rather than their fists. In many ways, Garner changed what it meant to be a leading man on television, and Maverick became a cultural touchstone that lasted well beyond when it first aired. Garner successfully moved from television to movies, something that many TV actors back then failed to do. In the 1960s and 1970s, he starred in lots of different films that showed off his amazing range. Some important ones were The Great Escape, 1963, where he played the clever scrounger opposite Steve McQueen, and The Americanization of Emily, 1964. A dark comedy about war that put him with Julie Andrews and showed his ability to mix humor with serious subjects. Other great performances included Support Your Local Sheriff, 1969, a funny western that played off his Maverick character, and Murphy's Romance, 1985, which got him nominated for an Academy Award for Best Actor. In Murphy's Romance, Garner played a kind-hearted small-town pharmacist opposite Sally Field, and the film became a quiet success that showed his lasting appeal. Throughout his movie career, Garner worked with some of the biggest names and directors in the business, and people admired him for being professional and not having a big ego. While he never chased after fame or Oscars, his performances were always solid, heartfelt, and felt real. He had a rare ability to make every scene he was in better without ever stealing attention from his co-stars. In 1974, James Garner came back to television in the role that many people think was his best, private investigator Jim Rockford in The Rockford Files. Created by Roy Huggins and Stephen J. Cannell, the show changed the detective genre completely. Unlike tough guy Private Eyes, Rockford was a man who liked to talk his way out of trouble, lived in a trailer by the beach, and rarely got paid for his work. But he had a strong sense of what's right and loyalty. The role let Garner use all his acting skills. He was tough when he needed to be, funny when it fit, and always easy to relate to. The connection between Garner and the other actors, especially Noah Beery Jr. as his father, Rocky, helped make the show successful. The Rockford Files won Garner an Emmy Award in 1977 and stayed one of the most important detective series of all time. Behind the scenes, though, Garner dealt with exhausting work schedules and stunts that hurt his health. He often did his own driving and fight scenes, which caused many injuries and finally contributed to him leaving the show early in 1980. Even after The Rockford Files, Garner kept working steadily in movies and television. He played his Maverick character again in the 1981 TV movie Brett Maverick, and even made a quick appearance in the 1994 Maverick feature film starring Mel Gibson. He brought depth to roles in films like Space Cowboys 2000 and the beloved romantic drama The Notebook 2004, where he played the older version of Ryan Gosling's character. Garner's performance in The Notebook was touching and gentle, showing the lasting power of love and memory. Along with his work on screen, Garner became known for doing the right thing and quiet activism. He strongly supported civil rights and was there at the 1963 March on Washington. He also wasn't scared to stand up for himself in the tough world of Hollywood, famously suing Warner Brothers for breaking their contract and winning, which was rare for an actor back then. Garner's willingness to fight for what was right, even when it cost him, showed his strong sense of right and wrong and the same values he often brought to his roles. James Garner, the beloved American actor known for his charm, being humble, and being good at many things, found lasting love early in his career when he met Lois Clark. Their meeting happened by chance, at a political rally in 1956, and despite dating for only a short time, there was an obvious and immediate connection between them. Within just 2 weeks of meeting for the first time, they decided to get married, going against the common advice that warned against getting married so quickly. On August 17, 1956, James Garner and Lois Clark got married, starting a marriage that would last for nearly 6 decades, which is rare in Hollywood, where relationships often don't last long. Garner would later look back on their marriage with love and thankfulness, often describing Lois as the love of his life and the anchor that helped him deal with the crazy ups and downs of fame and personal struggle. Their marriage wasn't always easy. Coming from different backgrounds, Garner from a working-class Oklahoma upbringing and Clark from a more fancy Los Angeles lifestyle, they first ran into differences in how they saw things and their personalities. Still, the connection they had proved strong. Garner said that a lot of why they stayed together was because of mutual respect, loyalty, and their ability to give each other space when they needed it. Despite how demanding his acting career was, which included long shooting schedules and lots of time away from home, Garner stayed deeply devoted to Lois. Even during short separations, like a 2-year trial separation in the 1970s, he never stopped loving her, and they ended up getting back together, continuing their life together with even more strength. When Garner married Lois, he also welcomed her daughter from a previous marriage, a young girl named Kim. Though she wasn't his biological child, Garner treated Kim as his own, stepping into the role of father with grace, warmth, and complete dedication. He gave her the stability and love that many children in blended families often want. From what everyone says, he loved Kim deeply, and their bond got stronger over the years. He once said that being a stepfather didn't make him feel any less of a parent, and he made sure she always felt accepted and supported in their family home. Later in their marriage, James and Lois had a child of their own, a daughter named Greta Scotty Garner. Born into a home where creativity and expression were really valued, Greta grew up surrounded by her father's legacy and bigger-than-life personality. Still, he stayed a very down-to-earth and involved parent. Garner loved his daughter and often talked about how much joy she brought into his life. He encouraged her interests and was always there to cheer her on, whether she was going to school, exploring a career in the arts, or just growing into adulthood. Greta would go on to make her own path, including becoming a writer and producer, but she always kept her father's influence close. She has often talked publicly about the huge impact he had on her life. Not just as a movie star, but as a gentle, funny, principled man who led by example and never let fame cloud his values. For decades, James Garner stayed a man known for his grace, being humble, and an unshakable sense of loyalty, both to his work and to the people he worked with. Throughout his long and successful career, Garner made countless friendships across the film and television industry. But one name always stayed on the edges of public curiosity: Jack Elam, a character actor with huge talent and unforgettable screen presence. Elam was the very definition of someone who steals a scene, a man with the ability to leave a lasting impression even in the shortest of roles. Yet, while fans often remember the chemistry between Garner and Elam, especially in their memorable Western movies together like Support Your Local Gunfighter, 1971, and Support Your Local Sheriff, 1969, Garner rarely talked publicly about Elam after he passed away in 2003. For years, people wondered, why the silence? Were there deeper stories behind the scenes? Was there something not said between the two stars? Then, in a heartfelt interview shortly before his own passing in 2014, James Garner finally opened up. His voice, steady but heavy with emotion, carried the weight of years of unspoken thoughts. "I didn't stay quiet because I didn't care," Garner explained. "I stayed quiet because sometimes words just don't do a man like Jack justice." Garner described Elam not just as a co-worker, but as a true original, a man whose unique look, shaped by a childhood injury to his eye, became one of Hollywood's most famous features. "You couldn't mistake Jack for anyone else," Garner laughed. "And he wouldn't want you to. That crooked eye, that playful grin. He was like a gunslinger out of a tall tale. But he was smarter than most people gave him credit for." The two men, though they seemed from different types, Garner, the friendly everyman hero, Elam, the quirky, often bad guy character actor, had deep respect for each other's work ethic and timing. Jack could read a room better than any Harvard graduate, Garner said thoughtfully. He knew how to steal a scene without saying a word and how to give it back when the time was right. What few people knew was just how generous Elam was off camera. Garner shared a touching story about a moment during the filming of Support Your Local Sheriff when a young extra who was clearly nervous and out of place struggled through a take. Rather than ignoring the awkwardness or brushing the moment aside, Elam pulled the kid aside and quietly walked him through the scene, even coaching him in character. Jack didn't just care about his lines, Garner said. He cared about the whole picture and everyone in it. Garner also cleared up any rumors of tension between them, calling such talk Hollywood nonsense. He admitted that they didn't always hang out after work, but on set they were like brothers in arms. We were different types, but we rode for the same brand. You know, we both loved this crazy business, and we respected each other. That's what counted. Maybe the most touching moment came when Garner talked about Elam's legacy. People think of Jack as the guy with the wild eyes, the comic relief, the weird outlaw. But he was so much more. He was a professional, a craftsman, and a heck of a lot of fun to work with. There's a reason people still remember him. Jack had soul. He made every part matter, even the little ones. That's rare. Garner paused, his eyes getting a little teary. I should have said this sooner, but if he's listening now, I hope he knows. Jack, you were one of the good ones. I never forgot. With those words, the silence was finally broken. Not with scandal or gossip, but with dignity, fondness, and a clear appreciation for a fellow actor who, like Garner himself, made a lasting impact on American film. And in that moment, the bond between two Western legends, one the steady hero, the other the unforgettable wild card, was cemented not just in memory, but in truth.